again, Sierra Dater, I'm so glad that you all are here. And I'm particularly grateful because you taking an hour of your precious time to show up here, to spend some time with me, and to help grow your girl is just an amazing thing to do. I have a couple steps that I'd like to share with you today, some things that you can do starting today to help support and growing confident girl. But one of the things that I really want you to consider today, as I share this information with you, is that you can't make your girl do anything. You can't make her grow. But as one of the most powerful people in your girls' lives, one of the most influential people in your girls' lives, you really have the ability to help boost and grow her confidence. Although we can't make anybody do anything, right? So just to keep that in mind, we can't make her grow confidence, but we can absolutely help influence her. So I'd like to share just a little bit about me and about where my work comes from. And then I'm going to share an agenda. We'll go through the agenda. We'll hopefully have some time for some question and answer. And then I'll have a brief poll. And then you'll be out of here ready to help grow some confident girls. So professionally, I am a licensed clinical social worker in the state of California. I've been a social worker for 20 years. Although I like to think I've been a social worker probably for most of my life. I was that kid that like sent all my friends cards. I care very deeply about people. I've been volunteering since I was young, and so social work is just sort of a natural progression for me. I also run a program called Wise Girl Workshops, which is for girls in 3rd through 8th grade. Right now, that's only in the state of California. However, starting January 2021, I'm really hoping to open that up nationally, as well as a parent coaching program in January of 2021. So I'll keep you posted on that. But more importantly, I want to share with you about where my work comes from. And it comes from a personal place. I too am a mom. I have 2 girls. I am a daughter, of course, and my work really stems from this passion in me that really wants to make good families become even better. And you know, I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up with my mother and father and a brother. I had parents that what I define as we were good enough. We were a good enough family. I had my basic needs met. I had a roof over my head. I had transportation. I got an education. My parents worked really hard to help support us. We were definitely a lower working class family. My parents showed up to my sporting events. They were always in the stands. I had a dad that coached Little League for me and eventually gave that up, knowing that it probably wasn't a good thing to be teaching his pubescent daughter, or coaching her, I should say. And I also have 2 parents that didn't drink a whole lot of alcohol because alcoholism ran on both sides of their family. And so these are just a few examples of things that I am truly grateful for when it comes to my own upbringing and my family. However, there are many things in that I felt like I lacked in. And, you know, I know my parents did the best they could. I know that they loved me. There's no doubt about that. But in reflection of my upbringing and in reflection of the person and parent I am, there are things that I am missing. So I am on a mission to help good families become even better. And I'm on a mission for my own girls and actually for your girls too. And that's why I'm so glad to offer this to you today. So for example, for my own girls, I want them to have 2 parents that not only love their children, but love each other. That's really important to me. My parents split when I was in my 40s, and that was hard. And I saw growing up that they didn't always love each other. I also want my girls to know that no means no. I was a kid that pushed a lot of boundaries, and I feel like I could have really benefited from more boundaries from my parents. I also, you know, I want my kids to grow up eating healthy whole foods. I grew up in the day and age of the microwave, which isn't to say my parents didn't make whole healthy foods, but it was the day of Uncle Ben's rice and putting MSG in your food. I want more for my girls. And I really want my girls to be able to handle conflict and confrontation in an assertive and a regulated way. Because in my house, that's not how things always got communicated. People weren't always assertive and people weren't always regulated. And so I am parenting in part from my past. Now, I challenge you all to think about how you all are parenting from your past. I hope you got many wonderful things from your family. I know that I did as well. but there are things that just generationally that get passed down that maybe we were lacking in, or maybe we got too much of. Because in part, growing confident girls stems from our past. How confident were you as a kid? What sort of messages did you get about being a girl, about being a young person? What did you get a lot of from your family? What did you get too much of? Maybe you had a family that was really enmeshed. We are all parenting from somewhere, and that is from our past. We all grew up in a family. And so I believe that families are really trying to do their best. Again, I believe that my parents did the best that they could, and I think that we can do better. And that's where I'm coming from. So I encourage you today to think about that. That's kind of a webinar for a whole other night, parenting from our past. But I encourage you to think about that as we talk about some of these things today. When I invited you to join this webinar, I actually invited, if you read the fine print, I invited you to an experience. I didn't invite you to just a talk. And so today I really invite you for this next 50 minutes that we're together here to really experience what it is that I'm saying and what it is that we as a community are saying. So I want you to experience this, or invite you to experience this webinar with your eyes. I want you to see the slides that I'm going to put forward. I want you to take a look at me, take a look at the community that we're together. I'd also like you to take in through your ears what you're hearing, okay, and really be able to take that in. And I asked you to get a pen and paper because I want to invite you to take it in through your body. I want you to do some writing today, take some notes, and I'm actually going to ask you to write a few things down as we move along, and I'll prompt you for that. And I also want you to check in what happens in your body as we talk about these different things, as we talk about growing confident girls, even as I talk about parenting from your past. Do you feel really calm and relaxed? Do you notice a pounding in your chest? Is your body sort of saying something? Is there something uncomfortable happening inside of you? Pay attention, because our bodies are also communicating with us at the same time. So thank you for showing up. I'm so excited to share some information with you. Your girls deserve the best. And tonight is just a great night to help set you up to help grow confident girls. So the agenda for today, we're going to talk about a definition of confident. We're going to talk about 5 ways to grow confident girls with the intent that we can't make them do anything, but we can help influence them. Okay, we're going to talk about one thing, and I'm so excited for this one thing, to discover what it is that you can do today to improve your relationship with your girl and grow confidence. If we have some time left, we'll do a question and answer, and then I invite you to please hang out for the evaluation poll. It'll just take a couple minutes and really helps me understand what it is that I can do better, what you liked, all of that good kind of stuff. So I kept the definition really simple. We're talking about confident from Merriam-Webster, having or showing assurance and self-reliance. And then just some real easy synonyms: certain, trustful, faith, secure, assured. Who wouldn't want that for their girl, right? We want them to be confident in themselves, be confident in their life, okay? Be confident in their friends. We want confidence everywhere for our girls. So let's get into the first way of growing confident girls, the first idea. And this is always when I'm in my therapy practice and I have parents that come and see me, this is one of the first places I start, is understanding her development. This is like a foundational building block of what you need to understand, okay? So there's so much about development. Here are a couple of bullet points that I'm going to share with you. This age, grade 4 through 6, can be the onset of puberty. And if you were a late bloomer, you might think, what, age 8? Well, yeah, age 8, it is when early onset puberty can start. And that's not even saying somebody can't start before that, although I think that's rare. But onset of puberty happens oftentimes between grades 4 and 6, but certainly that can happen later or a bit earlier as well. Learning to take more responsibility for their actions. Keep in mind, I just said learning, which means that they haven't got it down yet. They are not going to take full responsibility for their actions. I mean, in some ways, who does, right? I mean, I hope as adults that you really try to, but this is a learning curve about how to take responsibility. In grades 4 through 6, they have not mastered that. in grades 4 through 6, we're going to have girls that are more influenced by their peers, okay? When they're in grades K through 3, they might not really, they might not pay attention too much to their peers, what their peers are wearing, what their peers are doing. They might have just sort of a level of confidence that you might appreciate when they're younger. But as they move into grades 4 and 6, peers begin to take more, have more influence on them. And in turn, that may create some more self-awareness, okay? Like, oh, like this is what I look like, I'm different. And sometimes that self-awareness can be positive, and sometimes that self-awareness can feel negative, right? Like, oh, she's got a lot of friends, I don't. She always has someone to play with on the playground. I know I might be talking old-fashioned because it's COVID and I'm talking the days of the playground, but I hope we get back there at some point. So more influenced by peers, more self-aware, and they might start to really notice the social hierarchy. They might use words like popular, or they might use words like they have a lot of friends. They might notice where they fall. When they're in kindergarten through 3rd, sometimes they might know, you might have some kid who's really socially savvy, but in grades 4 through 6, they really begin to notice this and notice where they are. One of the beautiful parts about this developmental stage, and I hope you all are enjoying this, they still enjoy family. And as they get older, there's going to be a little push away from family, but in grades 4 through 6, they want to hang out with you a lot still. They might want to spend all of their time with you or some of their time with you. They still love family movie nights. They're still interested in family, and that's just one of the really great parts about this particular stage. They're better able to understand points of view. And what that means is that they haven't mastered it. They are not full-on empathetic individuals. However, they are better able to understand. And because in this developmental stage, they are more concrete thinkers, they can understand points of view better when they have a concrete experience. Like, oh, I remember when I was left out. I see her being left out. If it's abstract, if it's something that maybe hasn't happened to them, they might not be able to wrap their brains quite around it yet. So they're still in the stage of concrete thinking. Abstract thinking is going to come a little bit later. This developmental stage is all about mastery, mastering new skills, mastering skills. They might do a lot of things repetitively. This is why a lot of kids like school, is because they're really working on mastering. And they're also hopefully getting a lot of reward for that, internal reward, external reward. It's all about mastering, which is really a fun part of this stage, I think. They're really interested in learning how to do things and mastering different skills. And they're also developing more knowledge about what is right and wrong. They aren't always going to get it right, okay? This is a big stage that's about learning. So listen, if you have a girl that feels really mature, I caution you about that, because when we have kids that feel really mature, sometimes we have really mature expectations of them. Sometimes we might even treat them like an adult. And so I just caution you around that, to really remember to think about where she is developmentally, because while she may have, she may be more advanced in some ways, she might have this really witty sense of humor that might seem more adult. Keep in mind, she's in grades 4 through 6. She's not going to have it all figured out, right? And she's going to make mistakes, and she is just in the process of learning. Industry versus inferiority, just to sum that up, it's children becoming capable of performing increasing complex tasks, right? So when you've got a kindergartner, and keep in mind the stage goes kindergarten through 6th grade or even 7th grade, where they become capable of performing increasingly difficult tasks. They're mastering new skills, and they are encouraged and commended by parents and teachers, developing a confidence and belief in their abilities. And the flip side of this stage, we want them to master this stage. But the flip side is, if they don't get this, they feel incomplete, unworthy, and unacceptable. And I've got to tell you that sometimes we see this in adults, right? That if, a good example is, somebody who maybe had a learning disability, maybe went under the radar unrecognized, and then, and just didn't do well in school, or maybe they didn't have a great teacher, right, that was really supportive of them. I mean, that's independent of learning disabilities. If you don't have a great teacher that's supportive of you, it can result in this. If you don't have a parent that is supportive of you, it can result in feelings of incomplete, unworthy, and unacceptable. And I know none of you want that for your girls. And I know that because you're here. So what I'd like you to do, you're going to be scoring yourself today. So on that piece of paper you grabbed, I want you to write down understanding human development. And I want you to score yourself on a scale from 0 to 100. This is for your eyes only, by the way, and it's not a competition in whatsoever. How knowledgeable are you about human development? 0 being, I don't know anything about human development, and 100, I know everything there is about human development. Maybe you took a course in college, maybe you never even thought about human development. Wherever you are is okay, but go ahead, take a moment to score yourself. Where are you in understanding this? Our next idea about growing confident girls is how to make room for who she is, okay? How to make room for who she is. So you know how we talked about parenting from our past in the beginning? Sometimes because of our past, we as parents are pushing our own agenda. We're going to try and make them into someone that maybe we're not, okay? Or that maybe she isn't, excuse me. We're going to try and make her into someone that she isn't. We're going to try and make her, well, I'll give you a great example. So I played college soccer. I love soccer. I've been an athlete my whole life. I love soccer. I have 2 girls that tried soccer. Guess how many of them love soccer? None of them. Nobody wants to play. And that was hard for me at first. I'm like, oh my goodness, nobody, okay? And so I have a daughter that has opted for gymnastics, which is a sport I have no idea about, although I'm learning, right? And I have another daughter that plays fiddle and lacrosse. I know a little bit about fiddle because I played as a kid, but I don't know anything about lacrosse. And so it's really been this learning curve. I'm not going to make my kids play soccer. They tried it once, it wasn't their jam, and that's got to be okay. But sometimes, not even just sports, whatever it is, our own interests, maybe about something that we wanted as a kid and maybe didn't have. Sometimes you have parents that maybe really you value popularity, maybe because you weren't popular, or maybe because you were. And so you're going to try and make all these play dates and make your girl really popular, except maybe your kid doesn't really care about things like that. So I caution you about where you're parenting from when you think about making room for who she is. So when we make room for our girl to be who she is, we're giving her the message of acceptance and honoring her innate strengths and interests. Remember that industry versus inferiority? When we're making room for who she is, we're increasing her industry. We're saying, yes, you have strengths. Yes, your interests are valuable, even if they differ from our own, even if we don't get it, right? If she does something, you're like, I don't know about that. When we can give her the room to explore and be who she is, we're giving her these messages. So the tricky part is balance, because I'm not saying don't teach. I'm not saying don't maybe show her something, don't maybe encourage her in some way. So the question is, how can we teach and simultaneously not put out her spark, okay? And sometimes we gotta teach. And sometimes we just need to let the spark be there. The catch is when you see you've squashed the spark. Anybody here ever squashed their kid's spark before? Have you ever seen the facial expression, the eyes dim, the head go down? I know I've squashed some spark. When you squash the spark, recognize it and think about what you need to do about it. Do I need to make amends? Do I need to apologize? Well, amends, apologize. Do I need to help her restart her spark? Hey, you know what? I just went into this teaching moment. I realized you don't really need that right now. So yeah, go back. Tell me about gymnastics. Go back and tell me, right? So how do we teach and not put out their spark? Okay, the delicate balance. So next, scoring for yourself, making room for who she is. Go ahead and write that down. On a scale of 0 to 100, how are you doing at making room for who she is? 0, I make no room for her. And 100, I give her all the room she needs. Where are you with that? Our next idea about how to grow confident girls, and there are a million ways, all right? Maybe not a million, but there's a lot. There's a lot. I've just chosen 5 tonight, thinking about this particular developmental stage. All right, number 3, encourage your girl to hang out with people who help her feel good about who she is. So when I first wrote this slide, here's what I wrote. Encourage your girls to hang out with people who make her feel good about herself. I don't like the word make her feel, okay? People can help her feel. Ultimately, she gets to decide. Ultimately, she's the one who's going to have control over herself. I'm not saying, again, we influence, the outer world influences our peers, their peers influence them, but we want to help your girl hang out with people who help her feel good about who she is. All right, so here's some ideas about this. Help her to understand who these people are, but do not put other kids down. Sometimes we can get pretty hot as a parent. We can get pretty heated, especially if there's that one kid that's constantly giving my kid a hard time. I really caution you about putting other people down, okay? Help her to understand who the people are, and we're going to talk about how to do that, but I caution you about putting other kids down because you are modeling for her. And she is watching you and she is listening to you. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So ask her about her friends. So listen, the catch, one of the things I love to do and I'd love to talk with parents about is asking first before giving your opinion. Okay, so who does she like? Why? What's important about a friend? How does she like to be treated? These are things that I just did in my Wise Girl workshops earlier this afternoon with my 3rd and 4th grade group, talking about friendships and how they like to be treated. They've got good ideas. Even in 3rd and 4th grade, they're smart. They know about these things. They're learning about these things. So they do have their own ideas. So how does she want to be treated? Does this person have these qualities about how she wants to be treated? Do they have these traits? Okay, so you're going to ask her first. And then upon asking her, you can chime in, but approach it with curiosity. Oh, so I hear so-and-so's on your list. All right, let's think about this a little bit together. So more about curiosity than like, why her? Like, she was just mean to you on the playground, you just said. She was mean to you all school year. How could she be on your list, right? We want to approach it with curiosity. Like, oh, I find it really interesting that you just brought up so-and-so. Like, tell me about the ways that you feel like she treats you kindly or she treats you in the way that you want to be treated. Use facts to explain yourself. And what I mean by this is sometimes we may feel that our girl has it all wrong. Like she might list someone on those people who she likes and helps her to feel good. And you're like, what? Like that kid of all kids? So you want to use facts to explain yourself. So you might, and use curiosity. So I hear you saying that, so-and-so is a really great friend to you. However, I noticed when you go over to her house or, I'll just use that example. When you go over to her house and you come home, I noticed that you're telling me that you don't have a good time. And I'm just wondering about that. So you want to use facts. I noticed when you come home from school or you get off the Zoom call and you're in a group with so-and-so, I noticed that you're saying that she's being mean to you. So I'm just a little curious about that. Use the facts, use concrete experiences to help make your point or to help explain yourself. This is the long one. All right, here we go. If your girl is insistent on playing with someone or hanging out with someone who doesn't help her feel good about who she is, a couple ideas I have for you is have her get together under your supervision. And that way, A, you can help facilitate things. B, you're gonna have some concrete feedback to give to your daughter. Okay, remember that she's a concrete thinker, so we want to give concrete feedback. You're going to help her work through challenges as they arise. If she's at your house and she's having some sort of problem, or they are, that you're recognizing. And it's also going to provide you a limit, be able to set a limit around getting together. And so ultimately, if you feel like this kid is not a good influence on your kid and your kid isn't seeing it, you still have the power to nurture other friendships for her or with her. And, you know, it might be something like, you know, last week you got together with her, you know, whatever way you're getting together with kids, either Zoom or in person, social distancing, whatever it is, I'm not judging. So you might say something like, well, you know, last week you played with her, you know, let's keep our friendship options open. You know, who else would be a good friend to have over to hang out or whatever it is, and really be able to nurture friendships. As we get older, this becomes trickier, right? Because that's a whole other developmental stage we'll talk about. But at this age and stage, you still have a lot of influence. So, well, go ahead and scale yourself, encouraging your girl to hang out with friends who help her feel good about who she is. How do you do with that on a scale of 0 to 100? I never encourage her. I don't even know who her friends are. 100, I always encourage her. Where are you with that? All right, how are we doing on time here? We are doing lovely. All right. Fourth idea on growing confident girls is modeling positive behaviors. So, have you ever heard your kid do or say something and you were like, oh my God, that was me? Maybe you looked a little like this, like, oh my God, did she just say that or do that? You know that moment? Right? Maybe she says a swear word, or she says something super maybe inappropriate, or she says something, or she has a tone of voice, or she is snappy or whatever. You know that moment? That's a clue. That is a gigantic clue. If you're having that sort of reaction, oh my God, I can't, that might be a check for you about modeling, about a behavior that you might want to take a look at within yourself, okay? So the old saying, do as I say, not as I do. Do as I do and as I say. And I realize that might be a tall order because we're not perfect. We're human. We make mistakes. We're not going to get it right at all the time. I mean, I hope you get it right sometimes. That was a long pause there. I hope you get it right sometimes. I hope you get it right a lot of times, but we're not going to get it right all the time. But here's why this is so important. Your girls are watching and listening to you. And I know you know this, but take this one in, read it, say it to yourself. They are watching and listening to you, okay? The way you talk about other people, they are hearing that. The way you spend your time, they are watching that. The way you treat and talk to your spouse or partner or who's ever in your life, they are watching and hearing that. The way you talk about and treat yourself, they are watching and hearing that. The way you talk about and treat your own body, they are taking that in. The way you talk about your work, they're listening. And in fact, that's in part why I do what I do. I told you I grew up in a blue collar family. My dad hated his job. My mission in life was to love my job. My dad hated going to work. He was a grouch because of it. And I vowed that that was not going to be my life. And so I listened to my dad. I heard my dad. And luckily, it influenced me in a really powerful and really wonderful way for myself. But there's just an example of that. The way you handle big emotions, anger, sadness, fear, all of them. They're watching how you handle these things. They're watching how you handle conflict. Are you aggressive? Are you passive? Are you assertive? Are you passive aggressive? All right, they're watching this. They're learning from you. And they're learning about how to cope They're watching you. And so modeling, when you, let me back up here. When you talk about other people in a positive way, when you spend your time in a positive way, when you treat and talk to your spouse in a positive way, when you treat your body positively, when you are valuing your work, when you handle those big emotions in a positive way, and when you handle conflict in a positive way, I know that you feel good about yourself. You feel good when you sort of like handle things in the right way. Well, we want to teach our girls how to handle things in positive ways. We're not always going to get it right. We might find we need to make amends. Gosh, wow, you saw me just fly off the handle right there. I know that really scared you. Wow, I want you to know I'm going to be working on myself. I'm really sorry about that. I need to do better, right? So we can handle we can model also how to make amends. So how we handle things, how we go about life influences how we feel about ourselves. So in turn, you are passing down modeling to your kids, right? Because when they do sort of the right thing, they feel good. They feel good. So go ahead and rate yourself. Scale of 0 to 100. How are you doing at modeling positive behaviors? If you are at a 100, I'm just not going to believe you. You might be up there though, because nobody is 100 on this. I would be surprised. Scale of 0 to 100, where are you? All right. Our fifth and final idea about growing confident girls is simple as this. Pay attention. Help her feel like what she has to say is important through engaged listening. Meaning, you put your body towards her. You look at her. You make eye contact. You drop what you're doing. You maybe walk into another room and say, hey, let's sit on the couch together. Let's go for a walk. It might be right in the moment you just drop what you're doing, or maybe you even set something up, like the sofa, like the walk. Hey, gosh, I hear you have a lot to say. Let's go for a car ride together, whatever it might be. But help her feel like what she has to say is important through deep, engaged listening. Sometimes my kids are talking to me and I'm like, and they're like, and they'll say like, right, Mom? And I'm like, what? Like, I was agreeing, I was nodding, I was doing all the things, but I wasn't listening. So I might ask my kids, say, hey, sorry, I was zoned out right there. I was not listening. I'm sorry, but could you repeat that again? I really want to hear what you have to say. Make amends when you don't get it right. Put down your phone. The phone is a magnet. And if you run your own business, if you have just, I don't know, important things going on in your life, I realize that a phone might be essential in a lot of ways, but when it comes to your girl and when it comes to paying attention, put it down, put it away for hours. People can wait. Ask her questions, okay? Ask her, I also invite you to ask her non-judgmental questions. Sometimes our questions, if we don't agree with them, we can be a little judgmental. Don't be. Just ask her questions about what it is that she's talking about, what it is that she's sharing with you, okay? Ask her how she feels. And I highlighted and why. We are in a culture of people who just say good, right? How are you doing? Good. I see it all the time happen with my therapy clients. And so I always follow up with why. Sometimes people are truly good, period. They're good. It's a good day. And sometimes when we ask the why, we actually begin to learn that maybe they aren't actually all okay. Maybe the day was hard. Maybe they're feeling sad. Maybe it was a fantastic day, right? But we want to follow up with the why. Oh, I hear you're feeling good. Tell me about what's the goodness about why, okay? So invite more conversation from her. In grades 4 to 6, they're still interested in that potentially. And provide her empathy even if you don't agree. I know sometimes my kids will share stories with me and I might feel like they're in the wrong in some way. However, in building relationship and in paying attention and in growing confidence, she doesn't need me to judge her, okay? What she needs is some empathy, and I might do empathy in a teaching moment. For example, I might say something like, wow, you know, that sounds really hard. I could see why you'd be really angry, even if you don't agree maybe with something that she did. So gosh, I could see that that was really hard. I could see why you'd be really angry about that. Mm-hmm. And I could see why you acted the way that you did. There's the empathy, right? And I'm wondering, how do you feel, right? Asking her first, how do you feel about how you handled that situation? Well, I feel great, you know, she deserved that. Oh, okay. Well, I'm just wondering. And so then we might go into a teaching moment, okay? So empathy, questioning, teaching, right? But they don't need us to be judging them right off the bat, especially if they're trying to connect with us in some way. Another way to pay attention is to take her to do things. I don't know about you, but in my house, things aren't always on spot, clean, done. There's always something to do. And so that can cause a big distraction. And so taking her to do something, I know that doing something is a little shut down in these COVID days. So it might be going for the drive. It might be going for a walk. It might be going to get some Starbucks. It might be going for a walk, if I didn't say that already. It can be lots of things, okay? But get out of your house if you find that the distraction sucks you in, that you can't really fully listen to her. You've only got her for about 18, I don't know, in this day and age, maybe 26 years. We don't have them long enough, right? So we want to be engaged. We want to pay attention to them and their needs. And we want to show her genuine interest, okay? Even if it's not your interest. Tell me about it. Show me about it. Teach me about it, okay? Show genuine interest. So, and spend quality time. So scale yourself on a scale of 0 to 100. How are you doing at paying attention to your girl? 0, I never pay attention. 100, I'm always paying attention. Where are you with that? All right, now, drum roll. We're getting to the highlight of the evening. I want to talk to you about one step you can take to improve your relationship with your girl. You ready for it? There it is. You got to come up with it. I want you to take a look at your list. I want to take you to take a look at what you scored. Where do you need to work? Where is some place that you're like, wow, I don't really know a whole lot about development. I could really benefit from doing a Google search on that, watching some videos. I don't make enough room for who she is. I'm always pushing my agenda. I need to back off a little bit. I really need to get a little more engaged with her about her social life. I need to ask her some more questions. I need to help her figure this out. Modeling positive behaviors. I really need to help her. I need to really work on my own behaviors because she's picking up on my stuff and what I'm seeing isn't good. Or I really want to show her something else. I really want to model something because I know I feel good when I do this. So I really want to model and I want to invite her into it. I really need to do a better job at paying attention to her. I really need to give her more quality time. So go ahead, write down what is your, I want you to take an actionable step. What is one step that you can do to improve your relationship with your girl? When you improve your relationship with your girl, well, you're growing confidence, and I'll share a little bit why. So if you want to take it a step further, here's an example. Here's something that you might say. I'm trying to do my best as your mom, but I'm not perfect. I'm learning every day how to do things better, and I don't always get it right. So thank you for being patient with me. And I want you to let you know that I hear you and I see you. I'm going to work at being a better mom by putting down my phone when you're around. There is nothing more important than you. So feel free to remind me if I'm staring at my screen when you're around. I will try to remember myself, but if I don't, then please remind me in a kind way. When you say something like that, this is what happens. You're saying to her, I hear you. I see you. I love you. These are the messages that you're sending her. You are worth doing my best for. You are worth trying for. It's okay to not be perfect. And I'm showing you how to make amends when we say, I'm sorry, I want to do better. I want to do things right. Okay. So all of this, these messages, these five ideas are just the tip of the iceberg about how to grow confident girls, about how to influence them. There are so many other ways and other steps, but these just felt pretty on target for a girl who's in grades 4 through 6.